Welcome to my channel. This time I will build a fly line for very long cast from an old fly line. The fly line I am using is a Cortland 333 plus Super Sync Type 6 weight forward 8. This fly line is no longer manufactured and unfortunately is not available for purchase. Together with a Cortland 444 full sinking Type 6, this is one of the absolute best sinking fly lines that Cortland has ever made. It is a real shame that it is no longer manufactured. The entire body, including front taper and back taper, is actually 12.8 meters, but since the fly line is weight forward 8 and I'm using a fly rod that is class 7, I don't plan on using the entire body. I'll cut the fly line so that the body is exactly 11 meters long. With an 11-meter long body, the weight of the fly line was 17.1 grams. Many may think that the weight is a bit too low for a class 7 rod, but since the fly line is a sinking line and very thin, this weight is sufficient to be able to load the fly rod properly. Soon, it will be time to connect the fly line with a running line. But before I put these together, I peel off about 3 centimeters of the coating on both the running line and the fly line. The running line I use is a coated line from Guideline called LRL+, and the thickness of the line is 0.032 inch. The easiest way to peel off the coating is to make a loop and use it to pull off the coating. So I make a tulle knot on a nylon line and pull it tight on the fly line coating about 3 centimeters up the back taper. Then I pull the nylon line towards the end of the fly line. When I do this, the coating comes with it without damaging the core of the fly line. Now it's finally time to connect the fly line to the running line. The first thing I do is tie a knot on the shooting line around the fly line. Then I do the same with the fly line, i.e., I tie a knot on the fly line around the running line. When this is done, I tighten both knots. Then I pull the fly line and the running line so that the knots are right next to each other. Then I tighten both knots and cut off the ends so that about half a centimeter of them remains. Once the knots are tightened, I'll apply some super glue. Once the glue has dried, I wrap tying thread around the fly line and the running line, covering the half-centimeter ends of the knots. I use the same tying thread that I use when tying flies. When I'm done with the thread, I add a few drops of super glue. Now the joint is almost complete. The last thing I do is add some rubber glue for protection. This may not have been the prettiest joint I've ever made, but it's very durable. I have been using this method for 20 years and have never had a joint break. My fishing buddy who taught me the method has been using it for 40 years without a problem. Since the Flyline 333 Plus does not have a loop in the front taper, I use the same method to attach the tapered nylon leader. This is what it looks like when it is finished. Time to test the fly line to see if it works as I intended. When I have built a new fly line, I always test it on grass before using it for fishing. This fly line didn't turn out quite as I had hoped. I can cast around 35 meters with this fly line. However, the presentation of the fly is not as good as I wanted. I'll try shortening the leader later or switch to a thinner leader. If that doesn't help, I'll cut the front taper off about 20 to 30 centimeters. If that doesn't help either, it'll be a fly line used in a downwind. Here is the fly rod I used. This is a CTS Affinity X, 9.6 foot, class 7 that I built 15 years ago. A rod with a sensitive tip and lots of power.